most ridiculous monthly expenses when I think about it is going down the street to a place where I hand some very nice women some money, and then I sit down and they take some threads and they magically make all of my Ladystache and unibrow and excess eyebrow hair just disappear. This week's Ask Kristen question is coming from someone who emailed anonymously and wants to know how many women deal with facial hair issues and why is it so socially unacceptable? I feel like I constantly have to remove it, even though sometimes when I let it grow, no one says anything about it ever. Why all the pressure, all caps? First, a very quick science lesson. The facial hair we're talking about is not vellus hair or the peach fuzz that all of our beautiful little faces are covered in. The visible, thicker facial hair is technically called terminal hair, and terminal hair starts to grow around puberty. Hair follicles around our lady goatee region tend to be more sensitive to testosterone. So that testosterone can come in and kick out the peach fuzzy vellus hairs and bring in the more visible terminal hairs, and that is how a lady mustache is born. And according to research conducted on behalf of the BBC, 40% of women, like yours truly, naturally grow facial hair with varying degrees of thickness and visibility. 2/3 of that 40% said that their facial hair made them feel unfeminine. 40% of that 40% said their facial hair made it harder for them to form relationships. Women who have to deal with their facial hair on more of a daily basis are likelier to be among the very small percentage who have hirsutism, or the much larger group of the 1 in 10 to 1 in 20 women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which causes our ovaries to overproduce androgens, resulting in visible symptoms like excessive hair growth, acne, and weight gain. A 2013 study found that PCOS is the most common cause of excessive female facial hair, and those patients with PCOS reported facial hair as the hardest thing to live with, second only to PCOS-related infertility. On top of that, another study that talked to women with PCOS about how they feel about and deal with their excessive facial hair found that on average, they spent 104 minutes every week taming their facial hair, and that it was a constant source of embarrassment and self-consciousness in social settings, leading them to continually check themselves in mirrors and also touch their faces for any signs of stubble coming in. Which leads us to Anonymous's big question of why? Why can our facial hair make us feel so bad about ourselves? Well, it doesn't help that variations of female hairlessness are some of our oldest beauty standards. Because facial hair is considered a male secondary sex trait, its appearance has been coded as masculine. And of course, the appearance of anything masculine on a woman's face thus deems her unfeminine and thus unmarriageable. Quote, 16th century Spanish physician Juan Huerte, "The woman of average levels of coldness and moisture has a little bit of hair on her body, but it's light and blonde. The woman who has much body and facial hair, being of a more hot and dry nature, is also intelligent, but disagreeable and argumentative, muscular, ugly, has a deep voice, and frequent infertility problems." And don't be fooled, because Dr. Huertes are still around the 21st century, because that 2013 study I referenced earlier also found that when those women with PCOS go to the doctor, their most common responses are, well, I don't know, just like go home, lose some weight, and shave or something. So maybe a first step toward alleviating some of this facial hair-free social pressure is for healthcare practitioners to not Ladystache shame their patients. This is also something we can all contribute to by simply not judging people based on whether their facial hair presentation matches with what you think their gender identity presentation should look like. And Anonymous, as you decide what's best for you and your facial hair, I also suggest you take some inspiration from Balpreet Kaur, whose photo taken without her knowledge was initially a horrible internet joke that she responded to in the kindest way, saying, first of all, I'm really not embarrassed of my facial hair because as a Sikh, it's part of my religion to not alter my body in any way. And BT dubs, it's my joy and happiness behind the hair that matters a lot more to me. So now I want to know from you, have you ever been insecure about your facial hair or other kind of body hair? And if so, what did you do about it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks to everybody who watched and commented on last week's Ask Kristen video about a biphobic boyfriend. And as always, ask me your questions so I can give you some answers.